Hi, everybody. Hope you are having an amazing day and you and your family are staying safe. Today is Friday, September 11th. Please take the time today to observe 1 minute of silence to honor victims from 9/11. If you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe and the bell button and like the video if you enjoy the content. Tons of news happened yesterday and overnight, so let's get into it. So the GOP skinny stimulus bill vote failed yesterday. This wasn't a huge surprise if we get into it. So the skinny bill, it failed, and Senate failed to advance the Republican targeted COVID relief bill. So the vote was 52 yay and 47 nay, and we needed about 60 votes to pass through the bill. So about 87% voted through, and it's important to note, I guess, all Dems voted against the bill. And for this is kind of a big defeat for Mitch McConnell. He has to go back to square one. The GOP wanted to advance this to the Senate so at least they could bring it to the House next week and challenge Pelosi on some details. You know, there's been a lot of back and forth on the bargaining table for this bill. So, you know, it's a bit of a stumbling block for them because they have to go back and renegotiate the terms kind of within their party. So the Republicans have to go back and really see on the bill what can be done to get these 60 votes and make concessions within the GOP party itself. So if there's continues to be more of this fighting even within the GOP party, I think Trump may need to do an executive order before the election. You know, if this trend continues, I'm thinking of either a September or mid-October executive action on this stimulus check. You know, otherwise there's going to be a huge drawdown in the economy, and the stock market sold off. You know, the S&P was down about 1.5% on this news yesterday, and the Dow Jones was about down 400 points when this bill was rejected. So what's happening with the GOP party and some of the fighting inside? You know, some Republicans don't even want to pass this bill, and some say they have already spent a ton of money already, which is fair. But I think in the given economic crisis caused by the coronavirus, we definitely need this spending. So there's no consensus as shown in the recent vote. It's very divided. So the parties got to ask themselves, you know, how do we streamline this bill even more, and how do we rebargain it and make it pass so that we get 60 votes? So the debt is a big issue for our country, and you know, it's kind of eclipsed the entire economy now. For this bill, though, the Democrats wanted something like 3.4 trillion, and the GOP has been split between the skinny bill and some wanting $1 to $2 trillion total bill. So there's been a lot of divisive pandering back and forth about the details, and there's just a lot of back and forth, which is really bad because it blocks a lot of the funding getting to the actual people. So in other news, the U.S. government debt, which is related, will equal nearly the entire size of the economy, and that's been the first time since World War II. And you know, it was very interesting. I saw last night on the news. I was watching Bloomberg, and Trump had this quote from an interview on Bloomberg, and he said, "I don't know. The Democrats don't want to pass it. They don't want to help the workers of the country. This virus was given to us from China. Pelosi, Schumer don't want to pass the bill because they think it helps me during the election. The economy is doing great right now. It's a super V shape. The workers didn't deserve this. It was given to us by China." So he was kind of going in defensive mode and, you know, blaming the Democrats for all this. So definitely a lot of election and optics and back and forth. So this is exactly what failed that was proposed yesterday. I've gone over it for the last 2 days, but it hasn't changed much. But this is exactly what was rejected. And one of the Democrat finance officials was quoted, I saw on TV. He said, you know, this doesn't even reflect the current needs of the American people, and it's very skewed towards corporates in terms of their liability protection on the bill, and not sending a direct stimulus check to people itself. So you can see there's still a lot of divisiveness among, you know, the two parties. And, you know, the backdrop of this is horrible. Weekly jobless claims were up about 34K. They're almost a million now instead of the estimates were 850. Total cumulative claims were over 13 million, an increase of 100,000 from the previous week. And, we've been talking about this since June for the second stimulus, and it's just getting harder and harder as we get closer to the election date to find any type of consensus or anything that'll work for the people. So as I said, tons of problems right now, but if this backlog continues, I'm thinking Trump might just need to do a president order to push this through. Otherwise, it might hurt him in his election. So my prediction is he might do something along this timeline and give a presidential order. And in other news, it's been noticeable and there's some articles that he's pulled back very aggressively, Trump, from television advertising, and that has hurt him a bit in the polls, actually quite a bit. And it shows the Dems are kind of going forward in the polls. And this is worried a lot of Republicans, especially in the swing states. And there's been talks here and there that the Trump campaign might be fearing a cash crunch in terms of funding. So they've pulled back a lot from television advertising in these swing states. But this didn't stop Trump from campaigning a lot in the states, in those states. So in September 7th, he was quoted as saying this about the auto workers plants. Many plants are being built right now. Auto plants in Michigan, just like I said. They're being built in Ohio, South Carolina, North Carolina, expanded at levels never seen before. Because when I go to Japan, Germany, I mentioned to them, sorry, you got to come out here and build plants. Otherwise, you're going to take tariffs, and I'm going to make it very hard on you guys. So you see Trump, talking about the auto industry and trying to get more votes in those swing states. So we'll see how this all pans out. It's shaping to be very interesting and chaotic, unfortunately, and hopefully stuff gets passed to actually help the American people. So let's look at the COVID numbers. Worldwide, it's more negative today. There's 400K new cases day over day. I've put yesterday and today. The data is stale for the new cases, still about 204 from yesterday. United States, there was an uptick. So new daily changes day over day went from 30K to 36K, September 9th to September 10th. And the total cases ticked up 40,000. So, and the rate of change changed from 33K to 37K. So that's an increasing curve. And deaths ticked up 1,000 to 192. So that's it for today. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Stay safe.